G'day, I'm Paul. Dual cab utes. They are the best-selling vehicles in Australia every single month. That's why these things are so popular, because a lot of Australians are buying Toyota Hilux, Ford Ranger. They're kind of small in the grand scheme of things. This is the big daddy you want to step up to if you need something reasonably sized, and ironically this is kind of one of the smaller utes you can actually buy in the States. This is a little bit special. The Ram 1500, it gets delivered to Australia as a left-hand drive vehicle, but they are converted to right-hand drive here in Australia, which is kind of an interesting process. And when we go for a drive, we'll see whether it really impacts the way this drives. This one here is a new variant they've added in. It's called the Laramie Sport. It's kind of mid-spec. It's priced at just under $140,000. That's all too expensive though. The entire range kicks off at just under 100 grand with the old version of this, which they're still manufacturing. So you can save a little bit of money there if you don't want all the whiz-bang tech and gadgets. This competes with things like the new Ford F-150, the Toyota Tundra and the Chevy Silverado. They are really just picking up a whole lot of steam here in Australia and are becoming incredibly popular. Today we're going to do a detailed review plus some off-road driving in this. If you do want to skip ahead to other parts of this review, you can use the time codes that are on the screen, or if you're on YouTube, you can scroll down and use the chapters below. If you haven't done so already, subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon so you can find out every single time we drive a big old beast. Now let's talk about exterior design. These things are big. If you do park this next to a traditional dual cab ute, we've got a GWM Cannon over here at the moment, you will notice that it is sizable, and in fact the front end of this sort of comes up to my man boob here, whereas on the GWM it sort of sits a little bit lower. It isn't enormous though, and I think that's the critical thing. You can still use this as a daily if you need to. In terms of the actual design though, you've got big LED headlights over here that give you great visibility at night time. Big open section here for cooling. This is a naturally aspirated V8 engine. It has hybrid functionality that I'll run you through when we go for a bit of a drive. You have rated recovery points down the front there if you do want to do a bit of light off-roading, which we'll do later on as well. Come around to the side with me. Down here you're going to find yourself a nice set of 20-inch alloy wheels. Chrome in design, so it kind of stands out there for a bit of bling. A bit more chrome up the top here. 1500 signifies this variant. You can go to the 2500. There are a number of other variants available in the Ram range. And then Hemi for the engine that's under the bonnet, and e-torque for the hybrid functionality. Ram down the side here as well. Camera on the side mirror here for the 360 camera functionality. Privacy glass. This is probably my favorite feature of this vehicle. It's never really sort of made sense to me with a vehicle like this that's so large. Why do they not make better use of the spaces? And this is called the Ram box. It's got a button on the side here. It's lockable. It is a great spot to put your KFC if you're coming home with that, so you don't stink out the cabin, and other valuables as well. And then once you're done with that, you close it, lock it, and away you go. So pretty clever setup and sport insignia here for this variant. Come around to the back with me. Now around the back here, you're going to find yourself LED tail lights. This is also the section that houses the rear cross traffic alert radar. 4x4, which signifies this is in fact an all-wheel drive vehicle. Laramie over here for the spec, and then big Ram lettering there. Now you've got a number of little bits and pieces down here that I'll need to point out. So you've got reverse lights that they integrate into this when it gets remanufactured here in Australia. Camera over here and a grab handle to lower that tailgate. 4.5 ton braked towing capacity. You also have dual exhaust pipes that let out a fair old grumble. In the tray here, let me run you through the dimensions. Also love that that is hydraulic as well, so when you drop it, it comes down nice and easily. So you got yourself a spray-in bed liner. You have LED lights here off to the side. Now, this is an interesting setup. So unlike a lot of dual cab utes that have like a roller cover, you actually have this canvas set up here, and I'll quickly just push this out of the way just so you can see what it looks like. So you can roll that back and have a look at this. You have just accessories that you can throw at this thing. This is a lockable center portion that can be moved throughout the tray there, and it gives you an excellent divider that stops things sliding around. And you can see as well with those Ram boxes that you don't really lose a great deal of practicality here either. It's a little over 1700 mils deep and a little over 1200 mil wide. You don't have wheel arches intruding in this. It's just a really clever use of space, and it's done incredibly well. Now payload is interesting because despite the size of this vehicle, it actually has less payload than a Ford Ranger, which I find truly bizarre. So you have an enormous towing capacity, but less payload. So it is a bit of a head scratcher, that one. Let me know what you reckon about the Ram 1500. It is expensive in Australia, but that is because they do a lot of work to convert them to right-hand drive here. Do you reckon it's too much? Would you go for something like this over a Thailand-made or a Chinese-made dual cab ute like the rest of the market here in Australia? Let me know what you reckon in the comments section below. So we're inside the Ram 1500. We will start off with the key. This is what it looks like. You've got unlock, lock, double tap here to drop the tailgate, double tap there to remote start, and then a panic button, and on the back it says Ram. So you keep that in your pocket. It's got a proximity entry and then a push button start. Have a look at this interior. I think that if you are spending 140 grand on one of these things, this looks sensational. And the thing that just blows me away is that the steering wheel used to be there, and I genuinely cannot tell what they've engineered here in Australia to make all of this work, because visually it appears that this came out of the factory as a right-hand drive vehicle. I really can't tell what has changed. So quite impressive on that front in terms of how they've managed to do that. In terms of the actual design of the original product itself, you've got soft touch finishes all along the dashboard there, all along the doors here. This feels like a significant step up from any of the dual cab utes that are on sale here in Australia at the moment, any of the non-American ones in terms of the quality. In terms of your touch points, well, all of that stuff is soft to the touch. How soft is it? Well, I've got our durometer here. We've tested all the main surfaces in this cabin. If you want to see how this compares to other vehicles that we've tested before, we'll look at the link in the description. Now, build quality. All of this is seriously solid. I cannot fault any of it. And this is what the door sounds like. Nice and solid as well. And you hear that noise? That is the side step dropping down so you can easily get out of the vehicle. Now let's talk infotainment. So similar to the new Ford Ranger, this has an enormous screen here in the center. It's a 12-inch display. It houses all of the fun stuff that you need access to. So inbuilt satellite navigation. So you can just use this as a sort of day-to-day thing. TomTom powered maps. And then you can also then assign different functions here as widgets and shortcuts as well. So pretty decent system. It's called Uconnect. It is the Stellantis overarching system, and I found it to be really good to deal with. On the audio front, you have a 19-speaker Harman Kardon branded sound system. It's a great sound system. You have AM, FM radio. Unfortunately, there is no DAB digital radio in there, which is a little bit disappointing. There's also where you control your climate control. So you do still have physical buttons off to the side, but all of your seat heating and that kind of stuff is then further customized and controlled in here. You have vehicle settings. So there's a litany of settings here to pick from in terms of changing the car's settings and making personalizations and all that kind of stuff. And then there's a further apps screen here where you can actually go through and mark things as favorites and then add apps as well as they get released for the infotainment system. On the smartphone mirroring front, you have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Apple CarPlay is a wireless integration, so full screen there. Tends to work pretty well. Sometimes it does drop out. Can't sort of put my finger on what is causing it, but sometimes it's toll gantries and other random things like that. And this is what Android Auto looks like. Crack that up there. Comically, it's like in this tiny little screen up the top there. So not sure what the story is with that or how to change that. Maybe if you know, let me know in the comments section below. But yeah, if that's not changeable, that is just a very weird thing to have happen. You do also have a screen here ahead of the driver. It's a digital display. You can customize a number of functions there, and it gives you a bit of clear visibility on what's going on ahead of the driver. Now, moving on to safety, you have autonomous emergency braking with pedestrian and cyclist detection. You've got an auto-dimming rear vision mirror. You've got a blind spot monitor built into your wing mirrors. You have rear cross traffic alert, front and rear parking sensors, and a 360 camera. I'll show you what that looks like. So there it is there. Quality is not too bad. It's kind of all segregated to that top section there, but you can then select different views to give you a clear indication of what's going on, including an auxiliary camera, which I reckon is pretty cool. So you could hook it up to your trailer or something like that. So yeah, I reckon that's a pretty cool setup. This is what the horn sounds like. Now let's chat about your practicality, and we'll start off with your connectivity. So you've got USB A and C ports down the front here, including an auxiliary outlet. Up the top here, you've got a 12 volt outlet. In terms of storing your phone, you have a RAM charger here, which is a wireless phone charger. You can kind of put your devices anywhere you want, and the storage here is sensational because you can move that back. You can just put stuff everywhere. So in terms of bottle storage, little bottle fits in there without any problems. You've got these rubber teeth to hold everything in place. You have bottle storage inside the door as well for the small bottle. Try it for the big bottle as I reach over there. Yep, fits for the big bottle as well. In terms of other storage, so up the top here, you've got a little storage slot with another USB-A port. Then you can access this storage slot with some cool trigonometry up the top here. You can slide this back to give you access to a little cubby hole down there as well. So they really have thought of everything. Up the top here, you have a secondary glove box. Down the bottom, I can't even reach that one. You've got your primary glove box. And then up the top here, you've got a sunglasses holder as well. Moving on to comfort. So you've got dual zone automatic climate control. You have heated and cooled seats. You have a heated steering wheel. Your seats are electrically adjustable, so you can go forwards, backwards. Your backrest can go forwards, backwards. You've got lumbar adjustment. You can raise the front and the back. Your passenger seat is electrically adjustable. Driver's side also has memory too. Seats are super comfy for long distance drives. It is just a really nice driving position. In terms of steering adjustment, you have both tilt and reach adjustment as well. And on our reach test, all of this stuff is easy to reach while you're driving. Okay, second row. Let me run you through some ute innovation here. So doors open really wide, so you're getting in and out, getting kids in and out, all of that stuff is pretty easy. Under the floor here, so you've got a carpet mat, but beneath that carpet mat, you actually have additional storage on each side of the car with rulers as well, which is great. The seats, they come up, so you've got storage space beneath the seats, which is very good. And then you hop on in, grab the door handle, close the door. So, look at this room. I have so much knee room. Toe room's great. Headroom is excellent. This is the definition of traveling in style with stacks of room. You could easily fit 3 adults next to each other here without any problems. Creature comforts, you've got air vents here. You've got 2 USB-A, 2 USB-C ports. Seat heating for the outboard seats. A little storage nook in there. Cup holders. You've got mat pockets in the back of the seats. Have a look at this. That drops down. You've got 2 additional cup holders there. Little storage nook in there. But probably my favorite feature is the kick back and relax function. So pull this little lever here. Look at that. You can kick back and relax. It is sensational. They've thought of everything here. And finally, our window test. Does it go all the way down? So it's manual up and down. Goes all the way down as well. What else more could you want? Okay, so we've hit the road in the 1500. Now, this is an interesting setup because although they say it's hybrid, no need to panic, it is still a naturally aspirated V8. So 5.7 litre naturally aspirated V8. It makes 291 kilowatts of power and a little under 600 newton meters of torque. It is mated to a 48 volt mild hybrid system. The whole purpose of that is to do a couple of things. You've got cylinder deactivation, but also when you come to a stop, if you just watch this rev gauge here, when you come to a stop, it switches the engine off, and then I'll show you what it does once it flicks back on. So it's off now. When I roll out of the brake and onto the throttle, it is really smooth. So it's just a really good stop-start system. And when it comes to stop-start systems, I typically like to switch them off if they're annoying. This one, on the other hand, perfectly fine to live with and isn't really too fussy or distracting when you're actually driving. Now, it's all mated to an 8-speed automatic transmission. The transmission's not too bad. It can feel a little bit clunky when you're rolling down to a stop as it moves back through the gears, especially when it's trying to couple that with switching itself off. But when you do just get stuck into it, it picks up the gear nicely. And then you hear that beautiful V8 note here inside the cabin. So it is a really good package and it sounds fantastic behind the wheel. Interestingly, unlike a lot of other cars where you have paddle shifters behind the steering wheel, this one just has buttons for volume and channel selection. The actual gear selection mechanism is here on the front of the steering wheel, and that tends to work pretty well without too many dramas. Now, Ram claims a combined 12.2 litres per 100 Ks. We are currently sitting on 16.9 as an average. Not great, but I got to say that we've been doing a fair bit of city driving prior to getting here and doing the highway stretch here. We've done a little bit of faster driving this morning, so it is okay, but not amazing, and is pretty much what you'd expect from a naturally aspirated V8. Now, what's it like inside the cabin in terms of road noise? It's actually pretty quiet. You would have thought that something this size would make a lot of tyre noise, but it's pretty subdued and there isn't too much to talk about. And this is how it went up against our calibrated sound meter. Now let's chat visibility. This thing is a whopper of a vehicle, so you've got to keep that in mind, but it does have really big wing mirrors, so you can see clearly out of those. I don't know whether they actually switched these when they were doing the conversion, because that mirror over there seems to have a whole lot more perspective than this one. This one seems really close, so not sure if they were meant to have switched those during the conversion or not, but I would have preferred to have the one with more perspective on this side of the vehicle. But you do have blind spot monitoring on this spec, so you can clearly sort of see that lit up when you do have any traffic coming through. You can see clearly down the front there, you've got front and rear parking sensors. Visibility is great out the rear, and it isn't too intimidating to drive on the road. Once you get used to it, it's all pretty straightforward. Okay, let's dial up some speed. We're going to go over the sine waves. So we do these at 130 k's an hour. They're a really good indication of what a vehicle is like when you're on a country road and you go to do an overtake or pick up the speed a little bit. I actually did a regional drive recently with a couple of new Porsches, and roads are shocking at the moment, so this is a good indication of what it's actually like. There's 130. Whoa! Wow! Holy moly! Eagle looks terrified in the back seat. You almost touched the moon there. Yeah, look, we got a fair bit of airtime there. The body control's not great. There is a reason for that. So this is set up with comfort in mind. A lot of these American utes are, and it doesn't feel to me like they've done any ride and handling tuning for Australia. So perfectly fine if all you're going to be doing is towing and stuff like that. So really not the end of the world. But yeah, do keep in mind if you go for an overtake, just watch the road that you're on, because this can get very flighty. Okay, rough road time. Do this one at 90 k's an hour. Let's see what this is like. So it simulates a shocker of a road here in Australia. I'm tipping this is going to be pretty good given how soft the suspension is. Yeah, nice. It is cruising along here without any dramas at all. Here comes our condensed sine wave as well. Oh, beautiful. Not a problem at all. So this is just a good example of a shoddy road that you could be driving on in the middle of Australia, and yeah, it's soaking it all up really nicely. Now let's talk drive modes. You have a tow and a haul mode for towing, along with an integrated brake controller. There is no sport mode or anything like that, but you can switch between two-wheel drive, high range, and four-wheel drive automatic. So I'm going to pop that into four-wheel drive auto. Let's go for a little punt around our track here. God, that sounds good. See what this feels like. Brake pedal feels good. Tip it in. All right, little bit of body roll there, but the end of the world. It's actually surprising how this thing is moving. For something this size, it's actually sort of holding on really nicely. When I was playing around with it before in two-wheel drive high range, it actually still had a fair bit of traction despite the fact that you're sending all that torque to the rear wheels. Steering communication is, it's good, but I did notice when you are tracking along on the highway, as an example, it is pretty dead about center, which I'll show you in a second, but just from a handling point of view, this is actually motoring along pretty nicely for something this size. And here comes our back straight. Let's follow onto that. Oops, there goes half our equipment. Yeah, nice, it's piling on speed nicely, very good. Yeah, so look, around sort of dead center there, I have a fair bit of wiggle room there on the steering, which isn't great. So yeah, that's probably something that they could look to fix. Okay, time to do some performance testing. Let me tell you about Help Me CarExpert. If you're in the market for a new car, CarExpert's a massive company. We have a stack of vetted dealers on board, including some Ram dealers who are ready to get you an excellent deal on one of these that is in stock. So all you need to do is go to Google, type in Help Me CarExpert, and then have a look at the page that drops you on. Okay, so we don't have an official 0 to 100 time, but what I will be doing is switching stop start off. I've got it in four-wheel drive auto. I might also turn traction control off as well. I'm gonna go all the way through to 120, dial up some revs, here we go. Oh, that gets off the line nice. All right. Beautiful. Here's 100 and 120, nice, alrighty. Felt really nice and strong off the line there. So 0 to 100 in 7.08 seconds, so 7 seconds dead flat. And then 80 to 120, 4.8 seconds, really good as well. So just shows you with these big American trucks that if you are towing, you've got so much headroom available there to just get stuck into it and make everything happen. So yeah, pretty impressed with those acceleration figures. All right, let's head back and do a break from 100. Okie dokie. Get this up to 100. Won't be too much of an issue. All right, here we go. Oh, okay. Actually didn't feel too bad from behind the wheel. So 2.95 seconds, 41.32 meters. Impressive for such a big vehicle. Yeah, not too bad at all. And now, our reverse acceleration test. How quickly this will go in reverse. Here we go. Love that rev limiter there. So I got up to about 40 k's an hour. That sounds unreal. It's like a, kind of sounds like a launch control thing when it grabs that rev limiter. That is unreal. All right, very nice. Okay, let's do a little bit of light off-roading. We'll see what the Ram is like on our little off-road track here. So I'll run you through the specs first. So you've got two-wheel drive high range, four-wheel drive automatic, so that allows you to run four-wheel drive high range on sealed and unsealed surfaces. You've got four-wheel drive high range, four-wheel drive low range. There is a limited slip differential at the rear, but no rear diff lock. Ground clearance of just under 230 mil. In terms of approach and departure angles, they're around 20 degrees. So approach angle is the face you can approach before you hit the front of the car. Departure angle is the same, but in reverse. And I don't really know what the weighting depth is. There's a few sort of different sources out there that say it's around 700 millimeters. So we'll see how it goes when we try do our little water crossing over there. What we're going to do here on our off-road course is go through in two-wheel drive and our offset mogul to see how good the traction control is. And then we'll come back around and do that again in four-wheel drive high range. So let's give this a shot and see how we go. So the way that this is designed is that I want to get the rear tyre off the ground, and then I'm going to gradually apply throttle so we can see how good the traction control system is. So there it is there. They should have a limited slip differential, but I can see that wheel spinning very freely there. Traction control is then coming in and biting. So that's interesting. It's meant to have a limited slip diff, but I'm not sure what the go is with that. It might just be one of those braking systems and not an actual mechanical limited slip differential, but yeah, that was interesting. Okie dokie, so we'll go back again, this time in four-wheel drive high range. So this is designed to see, again, how well the traction control system works when we have kind of a cross-axle setup where we only have two tyres with traction. So here we go. We'll just get this set up on our spot here. It's a little bit closer in. So we're out there. So I'm going to roll onto the throttle now. And we'll just see how it goes. Yeah, the wheelbase here is quite long, so it rolled out of that without any dramas at all. Normally when we have our dual cab utes and other vehicles here, they all have similar wheelbases and that will catch them out, but this got through without any dramas at all. And given that we aren't really relying as much on traction control here, it just kind of just used the four-wheel drive system to get itself through that. Okay, time to give our hill a shot. So we do this in low range. I'm going to do it twice. So once I'm just going to mosey up with gradual throttle, and I'll come back again, stop, and then accelerate to see what it's like. So pop that into neutral, press the low range button, wait for that to flick across. It's saying full drive shift in progress. Okay, that is engaged. Okay, here we go. All right, so gradual throttle. It just did a kick down in the gear there, but no dramas aside from that. Climbed without any problems. All right, go through our little mud bog. Alrighty. Now we don't have a hill descent control here, so what I'm going to do is just pop the front camera on so I can see over the front of the car there. And then I'll also manually select first gear so we can just crawl down here. So here we go. Little touch down there. Yeah, nice. It's sort of holding itself fine there. But a hill descent control would be a welcome addition, I reckon. An option, just like everything in this world. Okay, so now let's go back up our hill. This time I'll just come to a stop halfway up and then we'll see how well it copes with that situation. So get to about here, come to a stop, I'll roll onto the throttle. Piece of cake. Okay, now rock time. So ground clearance of just under 230 mil. It should be fine going over this, but we'll see how it goes in terms of touching down. I'm gonna ride the brake with the throttle as we go through here. God, it's so nice and comfortable inside the You don't really get thrown around at all, which is good. Yeah, really nice and comfy. No dramas there. It's almost like a massage as you work your way through here. Yeah, nice, awesome. All right, piece of cake over the rocks as well. Now let's head over to our river and do a little bit of a river crossing. It's currently at around 650 mil, so we'll see how this goes with a little bit of water thrown in for good measure. Okay, so a little mud bog to get through here, and that sets us up for the approach into our river crossing. This is going to displace a lot of water, I suspect. We'll see how it goes. Alrighty, go, I'll drop her in. Nice. And just cruise on through. Very good. Okay, this is a bit of a steep ascent out of here, so we'll see how it goes in terms of touching down. Nice, no dramas. Kill those parking sensors. A little bit of steam coming up there from the big old Hemi V8. Outside of that, all very straightforward. So yeah, look, this is a pickup that you can drive in and around the city, that you can drive on the highway, and that if you do want to go do a little bit of light off-roading like this, it's going to meet those needs as well. So it is a pretty impressive truck on all of those fronts. And if I did want to go a little more hardcore in terms of off-roading, I'd go for a lift and maybe also option the axle locks as well to help you through some of those tougher situations. Okay, Ram 1500, I reckon this, the Laramie Sport, is right in the sweet spot of where you want to be if you're buying one of these. Comes with all the features that the entry level is missing. Heaps of fun to drive. I mean, this American truck segment is unlike the dual cab utes that you're used to, where there's a quantum leap between the better ones and the worst ones. Here in the American truck segment, they're all really good, and I'm very excited to drive the Tundra when that is finally revealed. And F-150's coming up now. There's a new Silverado too. There's just so much going on. So if you are in the market for one of these, they are doing some good deals at the moment. This is the one I would be going for. It is a stack of fun to drive. So let me know what you reckon in the comments section below. You a fan of this? Have you bought one of these? What is it like? How is it to live with? Do you have issues with that infotainment system? I'm keen to see what you think. If you did enjoy this video, please make sure you like it and you share it with your mates. And if you haven't done so already, subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon. But until next time, take it easy.